Hey guys, this is Sam, and today we're talking about what's on my iPhone. Surprisingly, a lot of the comments I've received lately has been from you guys asking me to do a what's on my iPhone. I did one a very long time ago, maybe 1 or 2 years ago, and a lot has changed since then. So let's go ahead and kick this new one off right now by starting with Dark Sky. It's the first third-party app on my home screen. The reason I use this over the stock weather app, because this is technically a different weather app, is because it has ridiculously accurate weather information. It's always spot on, it'll tell you exactly when or if it's going to rain, down to the minute notifications, and there is even a nice radar view as well where you can play it, and most of the time it works very well. It's not the most amazingly designed app that I've ever used, but it works really well for what it is, and the accuracy of the notifications and weather data is the main reason I use it. Up next is the YouTube app, which of course I'm on constantly. I want to see how the videos are doing, but more importantly than just looking at my own channel, I love watching YouTube just like a lot of you guys do. I follow quite a few people. Here's just a glance at some of my subscriptions. I don't watch like copious amounts of YouTube. Like I don't usually just sit down and spend hours watching YouTube, but I definitely watch my fair share of content every day. I follow a lot of people. I think YouTube is one of the coolest things ever. That's probably why I enjoy making videos so much. Next up is Clear, which I use to organize my reminders. Now I'm still constantly using Siri's ability and functions with the stock reminders app, but I like this one just because it gives me a very clean layout of how to organize my ideas. So for example, make a video, visit my grandma, of course, I have to go to my quote-unquote real job, play a game on my computer, all that fun stuff I can do right inside the app, and I think it works very well for just a beautiful way to track things that you want to do. It's a to-do app. Next up down here, all the way at the bottom of the home screen, just about, is Overcast. By far, it is the best podcast tracking application or podcast listening application I've ever used. It works very well. I follow 9 to 5 Max Happy Hour podcast, love Let's Talk iOS by iDownload blog. PhonePod, of course, is our own in-house iUpdateOS podcast. I also love Serial down here. That is probably one of my top 3 podcasts ever, but I listen to these on a weekly basis, and it's a really good podcast app. I use it constantly. Tweetbot is a replacement for the Twitter app, and this is another app that probably is responsible for most of my battery drain. I am constantly reading tweets, trying to stay up with the latest Apple news, because number one, I am really interested in that, and number two, of course, I have to keep you guys up to date as what's going on in the Apple world. This is Twitter, but it's just a Twitter client, so like this is my timeline, for example, in normal Twitter, but there's a few nice things about it. Number one, there are no ads, which is fantastic, and number two, it streams tweets, so I don't have to constantly pull to refresh. It syncs across my iPhone and my iPad and my Mac. It's a very, very nice app overall, and I really couldn't imagine using Twitter without it. It is definitely one of the most used apps on my iPhone. Next up is, of course, Instagram. What else would it be? I use this quite a bit. You can feel free to follow me on Twitter, or well, on Twitter as well, but on Instagram at iUpdateOS. I don't post a lot. I try to post once every 2-3 days. I was on a good 3 or 4 day streak straight at one point, but I find it hard to find new things to take pictures of, but when I do, you can definitely follow me here, and I've got quite a nice repertoire of photos on here. I love using Instagram. It's a nice service for sure. We're going to talk about the dock in just a little bit. Really, the only app here that I use is Outlook, and conveniently I have no personal emails in here to show you, but there are some very nice swipe gestures. Whenever Mailbox got shut down, if you had heard about that, that had been my default mail client, and that was probably in the last What's on My iPhone, but I recently switched to Outlook. It's actually made by Microsoft, so it's definitely not going anywhere. It's not going to get shut down anytime soon, and it works extremely well. I've loved Outlook since pretty much the second I started using it, and it's really a solid application. And before I forget, let's talk about Skype, because I forgot to make mention of that. I'm not going to open it because I have a multitude of personal conversations in there, but of course Skype is a voice over internet protocol service, or VoIP for short. I use it to talk to my friends all of the time. Moving on to page number 2 here.